Eric Adams has dropped his campaign to be re-elected next month as the mayor of New York City. And that might improve the chances of former Governor Andrew Cuomo. But the overwhelming favorite is still the young Democratic socialist Zohran Mamdani. While many mainstream Democrats have been slow to back him, young online New Yorkers have flocked to his campaign. Polls show the Democratic Party to be remarkably unpopular. So Tara, are Mamdani and his sort of brand of left-wing populism, is this the future for the Democratic Party? Is this their way out of the wilderness?
I would love to say yes, but I don't think so. Simply because I don't think in the broad spectrum of issues that Mamdani, sort of stands for, some of them are absolutely things that people in New York City, people in general will support. The notion of affordable housing, the notion of, making sure that in the case of New York City, city services are running properly and that, on time, et cetera. Those are absolutely things that people can support. In general, people support DC statehood. But one of the problems is, first of all, that Mamdani refers to himself as a democratic socialist. And many people focus on the socialist part of this, not on the democratic part of this. Right. So that's one problem. Second thing is when you start looking at what democratic socialists sort of on a national level, on a local level it might be, but on a national level, they support for defund the police, for example, abolishing ICE, withdrawing from NATO. Those are not issues nationally that I think are going to be winners for the Democratic Party. So if you just keep it in New York City, it might actually work very well for him. But nationwide, in the Midwest, no.
But economic populism, Josh, that seems to be a big part of his appeal, right?
It is, and it's something to run on. And Democrats have not figured out where they're going in this Trump era yet in terms of what the message is going to be. And part of Mamdani's appeal is that he went out and asked people what they cared about and did so on camera in a really compelling way. And he, whether he was going to run on this from the beginning or not, has framed his campaign around, I asked New Yorkers what they cared about, and they cared about cost of living, and has the videos to prove it. And so whether his exact policy prescriptions for a city of 8 million people are going to fit across the country, probably not. That's not really how national parties work. But is this approach of going and talking to people on camera, making compelling video, making vertical video for the TikTok type people? I think just one example, James Tallarico is a Senate candidate in Texas, very different from Mamdani in a lot of ways, came out with his announcement video. It was basically a 3-minute sermon. He's standing in front of a church, standing on a car. But it's a vertical video. And this is the kind of thing that Mamdani has really pioneered. And so there are things to learn for national Democrats from his campaign, even if it's not how to solve every single policy. It might be how to talk to voters.
And left-wing populism is not anything new, right? We've had stagnant wages for a really long time. There's been a cost of living crisis for quite a while. Income inequality has grown in this country. Bernie Sanders as a Vermont senator, ran on left-wing populism and nearly won the nomination for president in 2016. That's not exactly the same as what Mamdani's running on, but it's very clear that in this country there's a lot of concern about affordability, and you can have a populist message that taps into that and says, you know what, we need services, we need free transportation, we need to take a look at our broken healthcare system, and that's exactly the kind of thing that Mamdani's tapping into. On the flip side, you have Tallarico in Texas, 36 years old, running for Senate, and he's really running on trying to carve a path through the culture wars, right? Mm-hmm. He's religious, he's Presbyterian seminarian, and he's trying to say, look, the right and the Republican Party don't own being Christian, and it's actually anti-Christian to fight these culture wars the way that they're being fought. That's a completely different part of the message from the Democratic Party we're seeing right now from a different media-savvy young politician.
And in a very different
state.
Very
right?
Different.
Yeah, just real quick, his messaging is very cogent when it comes to socialism. And the way he describes it is MLK's shared humanity vision of equality for everyone, not the haves and not the have-nots. And I think that is something that can come across in a quick soundbite, and I think it helps people understand the difference between that and, something else of like they're going to take just take everything and just give it to everybody, give the same amount. It's not that. Now, I have concerns, and I don't think we have time for them, but I think his messaging is speaking to the younger groups because it's very cogent, it's to the point, and it works for sound bites.
So he does have this sort of anti-elitism point of view.
Well, I mean, he comes from an affluent family. His dad's a professor, making decent money, so it's not like they're sitting in a bad place. So it's not that he's trying to take from all the people that have, but there is that concern of, okay, yes, short term it's going to bring in $5 billion, his plan is what it's projected to, but long term, businesses may go somewhere else where it's not as expensive to run their businesses.
Okay, I'll give you the last word on this, Josh.
Sure, we've been referring to him as the Democratic Socialist. He is the Democratic nominee, just the Democratic Party nominee. And you know, at a time when people are looking for courage from Democratic leaders, not being able to endorse someone who's won the nomination of your own party stands out to people, and that's been an issue.